We've been organizing together with our pilot a series of peer-to-peer learning workshops based on the needs and those that represent more relevant topics in each context. Obviously, energy poverty represents a really relevant topic for Zaragoza, who's currently engaged in the development of energy poverty plan, but it's also extremely relevant topic for other municipalities, local governments around Europe, because energy poverty is actually on the rise. According to JRC, those unable to maintain essential energy services in Europe are between 8 and 16% of the European population. This is due to extremely high energy costs, to low incomes, inadequate housing insulation, and inefficient appliances. And in addition to this, we see that the barriers to participation in energy transition initiatives are especially relevant in low-income households that lack, in many cases, the knowledge, the time, the skills, or the financial means to meaningfully engage in community energy initiatives, or more in general in energy transition. So there are many different layers of vulnerabilities and disadvantages that can lead to cycles of exclusion for certain, especially for certain communities or certain groups that are more exposed to those dynamics. And this means we really need to tackle it in an integrated, cross-sectoral and more integrated approach that can take into account those different layers and meaningfully address them. So I think today we will have the chance to discuss this in depth with our rich panel. Erika, back to you.
Thank you, Bene. I would then go to the next slide and have a quick overview of the speakers joining us today. And I will just read a bit through this slide, and then you're very welcome to just say a few words about yourself when you start speaking. So we have from our pilot Zaragoza, we have Mons Hernandez and Eva Maria Fernandez Simon joining from the Environment, Climate Action and Public Health Office at the Zaragoza City Council. And then they are joined by Cecilia Foronda, who's the head of Energy and People Department at the Fundación Ecología y Desarrollo, also in Zaragoza. And then we have two of our followers actually joining today. From Almada in Portugal is Alejandra Castro, from the head of the Division Climate and Energy team at the Almada City Council, who's also joined from her colleague Rui Sebastian, a senior technician at the Climate and Energy team. From Valencia, it's Pilar Horda that is joining us from the Valencia Clima y Energía of the Valencia City Council. And then we have, last but not least, a speaker from Barcelona, who is Sergio Delgado, a technician at the Barcelona Local Energy Agency. So as you can see, there's just a lot of expertise, and we're looking forward to learning from all of you and exchanging about the topic. So without further ado, I would like to start the core of the session. So the first topic that we're gonna talk about is what kind of came as a need from our Zaragoza colleagues, and it's about discussing the challenges and solutions, especially to design a coherent and cross-sectoral energy poverty strategy. And I will leave the floor to Eva and potentially Monse when she'll be able to join to start talking about this topic from Zaragoza.
Good morning to everyone. First of all, to say that Zaragoza is the capital of the region of Aragon. That is the partner of the project. Setting the extent of Zaragoza in energy poverty, we can say that the 14.7% of the Aragonese populations cannot keep their housing at an adequate temperature in winter. There is not data at local level yet, but the 52% of the Aragon's population lives in Zaragoza. So we'd like also to add that Zaragoza suffers from intense heat waves. So energy poverty in summer is becoming as big a problem as in winter. on another hand, we want to say that since 2013, Zaragoza City Council has supported the NGO ECODES to develop energy poverty advice points. And later you will listen to Cecilia explaining us a successful project. Following, by now, currently, we are initiating the diagnostic to elaborate energy poverty plan as a commitment to covenant of mayors. We have already the adaptation climate plan, and we are following with the commitments to covenant of mayors. By now, the challenges identified are the lack of harmonized data. Also in the city are some ongoing actions to address energy poverty, but they are isolated and under the responsibility of different departments. That's a problem to get a good communication. On the other hand, we need to collect data from different departments and integrate the various measures into a coherent strategy. And finally, say that the environmental office tasked with developing the plan, but the implementation of the energy measures are the responsibility of other departments like urban planning, social departments, and that's also another big challenge.
Thank you very much, Eva, for also being
Thanks,
very
Erika.
concise in flagging all the issues. And I'm guessing this might seem familiar to many of you also participating to this session. And also that's why we can go to the next slide. And the question that then Zaragoza partners sort of asking the other city representatives for this peer learning session is exactly whether they have an energy poverty plan and what is or was the approach that was taken to develop a coherent strategy to address energy poverty in the different cities that are participating today, and especially these issues of also collecting data from across different departments. And if from the audience someone is also willing to answer this question from your own experience, you're very welcome to do so in the discussion section. So you're invited to take some notes for yourself and then just jump in later. So maybe I will now, going to the next slide, leave the floor to colleagues from Almada to present from their side.
Our situation, it's very similar to Zaragoza. And we haven't started yet our diagnosis, but we are planning to go ahead. We were waiting for the social department and the housing department to move in with us, but we have decided meanwhile that we were going to take the lead and hope for the political team to give their approval and have a working group formed so that we can go ahead with what we propose. So first of all, we have these 5 steps defined. When we have the group, maybe we will change some of these. I hope so, because it means that we are speaking with each other. So we are going to define the objectives. The objectives will be shared, and we will also define the way the governance must be established between departments. We need to identify and collect the relevant data. As Mer said, it's important to have data that is consistent and that is harmonized. And also we need to integrate that data, make it able for other departments also to analyze, and for the political team to analyze it, develop targeted interventions. We have to go forward with a plan after the strategy, and then have a monitoring and policy adjustments that we need to do according to the monitoring results. What we identified, and I think that's the most important thing, we identified the challenges that we were finding in the process, and it's written here on the first level. And then we identified the solutions that we are already trying to implement. Some of them need to be implemented so that we can have the other departments on board. And maybe you can analyze better the things that we listed, and then maybe ask some direct questions. So I won't take you more time. But the idea is to start as soon as possible with this interdepartmental work, since it's the only way we think we can move forward and attain the goals that were set by Covenant of Mayors and that are being demanded by our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alejandra. I think that there's a lot of content here that might spark interest from the participants as well to ask some follow-up questions. And also between the different speakers, you're also very welcome to ask each other questions. We'll now pass the word to Pilar from Valencia.
Yes, hi everyone. Well, just a bit to frame the energy poverty situation in Valencia. This value of 32.85% of households are in energy poverty comes from a report from 2023. I have to say that this is from coming from the minimum income standard indicator. This is why it appears higher. But as we know, energy poverty is a multidimensional issue that it sometimes is difficult to measure. Just to let you know that from our previous report from 2016, numbers of energy poverty have worsened in all districts of Valencia, being the neighborhood called Poblas del Oeste, with a 42% of energy poverty households in the neighborhood. And another interesting indicator, just to frame the situation in Valencia, is that since 2022, the municipal social services have processed a total of 22.48% more aids to pay debts for basic supplies, meaning energy and gas bills. So this is quite concerning. And yes, in Valencia we have energy poverty strategy, which is currently on draft version. It's not yet approved because it's there are some delays caused by the floods that we had last October. But just to share with you some tips or how we did this process. So we first started with a preliminary version that we share into working sessions with internal actors between the municipality. We identified that health, consume, elderly people, housing, social services, employment, and education will have a word on energy poverty. So we had a workshop with them and also with external actors, meaning NGOs, associations, charity entities, and so on. And after that, and I think this was really, really fruitful, we had bilateral meetings to identify initiatives for each department. So we, as Foundation, as Valencia Clima and Energia, went to each of these services to have a chat with them and see what initiatives, what activities they can arrange. And it's very, very important, their funding needs. Because normally they will need funding to carry out these potential activities. And to do so, we needed to adapt the energy language to its service, which I think is also very, very important, as I think energy is not yet like a fully actor itself inside the society and the municipalities, and sometimes it's difficult to adapt messages to its service. So the importance of adapting the language. And just also as a tip, we are cooperating with the Statistics Office from the municipality to include energy poverty indicators in their annual plans. and annual reports. So this is something really interesting and will facilitate to monitor the energy poverty strategy. And we will have their feedback on the energy poverty plan once we have like the final version. And also, just to finalize, Valencia received technical assistance from the Energy Poverty Observatory Hub for trainings on how to deal with the heat. Because as we know, Valencia and Spain in general, we are dealing a lot with summer energy poverty. So this is something that was really valuable for us, and people from social services, from NGOs, from the municipality received this training. So this is also something quite interesting to share. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Pilar. I think these are all very useful insights and a bit of very actionable tips also for any other municipality that is working on their energy poverty strategy. We have a final speaker for this round, and it's Sergi from Barcelona.
Thank you. I'm Sergi Delgado from the Barcelona Energy Agency, and I work on all the data related part of the agency. And just to set a bit of framework about the energy poverty issue in the city, by now the energy poverty lies around 24%. It was 20% like 5-6 years ago. It's increased a bit due to the price of the electricity and natural gas, due to the Ukraine war and all the effects, inflation effects we've been facing in Europe. And we have a main goal, which is to reach the energy poverty removal by 2030, which is a bit of a rough goal and quite ambitious. But to do that, we don't have strictly an energy poverty plan, but it's integrated in all the climate action in the city. This goal is it's since 2018 defined to remove this energy poverty, and there's an axis of all our plans, which is just transition. That's, I think, the best translation in English. And in this just transition, it's not strictly a concrete section of the plan is mitigation, adaptation, and so on. But we are including this social view in all the columns of the plan. For instance, energy poverty means to refurbish where it's needed, to develop solar energy where it's needed and where it's feasible, and also the energy advisory points and all these kind of policies are in the different sections of mitigation and adaptation plan. So summing up all these actions distributed in the plan, we should be able to remove energy poverty by 2030. And then I'll explain later Sun for All, which is a way to one particular way to tackle this issue in the buildings which are city council owned, which are dwellings, and this part of social housing.
Okay, thank you. And regarding the Sun for All project, I think we'll have time to talk a bit more in detail about it in the next round as well. Yeah.
Just to notice that we measure the energy poverty. I forgot that in the beginning. In the annual service, we have one winter and one in summer, just to grasp a bit energy poverty in summer and in winter, which is not the same. So this 24% could mean only winter, only summer, or they have difficulties in the both moments.
Thank you. Thank you for specifying this. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Lara, also for the slide, in case there's anything to be added here. Now we can actually perhaps move to the discussion, and I would also like to thank all the speakers for being so good with timekeeping. I think that's great, so that we now have a full 15 minutes to discuss with the participants. So for this part, I would actually maybe stop the screen sharing so we can see each other a bit better, in case people want to turn on their cameras. And yeah, so if anybody has any question or thoughts to share from the participants, this is the moment to go ahead. I see Nuno.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the kind invitation to be here. I was very pleased with all the presentations. Thank you so much for sharing all those info. I'm Nuno Lopes. I couldn't write on the chat, so I'll introduce myself now. I come from the city of Cascais in Portugal, and we've been working a lot now on energy poverty and energy transition. And I would like just to give you an overview on our energy poverty plan that we are approving next month in April. So we did all the meetings, intersectorial meetings at the city. And about the problem of the diagnosis, we were addressing an energy poverty vulnerability index, which is made with statistics, national statistics of demography, income, building construction classes. So all of that mixed together, and with the support of the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub, we could do a diagnosis. On the other hand, we are now having an energy transition fund going on with a 3 million euros global budget that has a focus on energy poverty. So we have progressive support rates and a positive discrimination for the lowest income people. And by doing that, on the start of the appliances, we have a survey where we can have a characterization of people that are applying to the fund. So it's a cross-check diagnose on the vulnerability of people in the city in Cascais on energy poverty. And by now that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for sharing this. I think it's a very interesting approach. I don't know if any of the speakers have perhaps a reaction to this or want to ask some follow-up question. You're very welcome to do so in case. Give the word to Cecilia to go ahead.
Hi,
while we solve
everyone.
this.
I have a question for, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So my question is from Pilar Jordá from Valencia. As they have an energy poverty study, I would like to know if they have been able to gather data, statistical data from local level. I know that you have I think you have a statistical office, and if it's for that, it would be great. But if not, I would like to know how to reach this data, because and in the city that we don't have a statistical local institute, it's quite difficult to find data from the local level, because most of the data in Spain are from the national or even regional data. Thanks.
Yes, I agree with you. Sometimes it's really difficult to gather data to measure energy poverty. Regarding our municipal statistics office, they've been doing an effort to measure energy consumption, and they are also in touch with municipal social services to see how many people they go to ask for payments of debts. So we more or less are dealing with this data, but we still need to, let's say, go further with the statistics office to establish the indicators that facilitate to monitor the energy poverty. But more or less, this is what we have. They annually draft a report, and they measure the energy consumption, gas consumption, and water consumption. And also we can link this information with other, let's say, indicators such as income levels, employment levels, and so on. But to gather the energy poverty number that I showed before, this was part of, let's say, dedicated report on the city. So this was not part of the energy office, even though we use this information from the energy office, but we drafted this report and we gathered these indicators from a dedicated report, not coming from the statistics office. We are not yet at that point.
Yeah, because our feature should be that the statistical institute have to, in a regularly way, the gathering of this data from all of the population, not only vulnerable people, because if not, some people, they are not located located as vulnerable people, or they are not go to the social services. So
exactly.
oh, great. Thanks a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, we face the same challenge. Normally, there are some
Okay.
people that are out from social services. There are people that are not registered on the city council, so they are not officially part of the city. So we cannot reach everyone. Yeah, I think
We are in the same line.
all the
Okay.
cities face this the same challenge. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for this contribution. I will try to give the word now to Alice Fantin before we go to Alessandra.
Nice to meet you all. I'm from ALDA, an organization in the north of Europe that is working in all Europe, actually. Just wanted to share my experience with you with the energy poverty. At the moment, I'm working with an Interreg project that is working on the northwest Europe. So the area is a bit different, I know, but it would be great as well to share some best practices of things that have worked. With this project, we are creating a network, a sort of community of interest, a network of organization, local authorities, and everything to share experience and things that work well with also creating participation among the citizens and everything. So if you think that we are sharing, yes, this kind of experience and new practices and innovative ways. So if you think that you would be interested in joining this community, just let me know. You can take my contact and I can explain a bit more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And maybe this, in general, this is also an opportunity to create synergies and partnerships that can be then followed up upon after the meeting. So feel free to use us as ICLEI as a bit of a messenger for this. I will leave the word to Alessandra, and then I have another hand raised, and maybe we can then move to the next round.
I have a question to Bar and also to and ask them how do they get information and data, this fringe of the population that is not identified through the social departments and through the social tariff, energy tariff that is lower. How do you reach? Because we have this perception that is still a big chunk of population. I will say that at least 25 to 20% of our expected 40% of population, so half of it, will be non-identified through statistics, available statistics. So, or maybe if Sergi has also, because they already have some experience on dealing with the strategy that's it's on already on the move. Let me say like that. Thank you.
So feel free to answer.
Yeah, on the Valencia side, I will say that to reach those people that are not registered on the municipality or are not followed up by social services, we as the Valencia Clean Energy Foundation, we are carrying some projects, energy poverty projects, and we were in touch with those people, not all of them, of course, but a wide range of those people. And also we have collaboration agreements with NGOs, especially with Caritas and other NGOs, that they are working together with the families as well, so we can exchange information and also offer them trainings. And also we have the energy offices, the municipal energy offices, so we can also, let's say, refer cases between the NGOs, the energy offices, and our European projects to, let's say, try to provide an answer and offer help to them, and also try to, let's say, regulate a bit their situation. So that's more or less how we face this challenge.
Yeah. In our case, since 2018, we've tackling the issue in concrete neighborhoods, trying to communicate a lot about, for instance, the social bond in Spain, which is a 25% discount. in the electricity in the administration bills, and also by enforcing 1 per district energy advisory points, where you can go if you have an issue, for instance, with if they are going to cut the electricity, or which is the quite extreme thing, but also for other issues. It's trying to become a one-stop shop, also for other less critical issues for the citizenship. And then, the correlation in data is a bit difficult. For instance, we've noticed that in years which are especially problematic for these issues, for instance, the last crisis, 2011, if I remember well, in the data we noticed that the butane gas increased a bit the consumption, which is quite rare, and it's concentrated in some parts of the city, which it means that okay, we are consuming less, but sometimes we are consuming more butane gas, which means energy poverty, because it's a cheaper way to do it. So it's a challenge to try to put into a concrete neighborhood or a concrete part of the city all this data. So yeah, we are trying to improve that, but it's not that easy.
Thank you, Sergi. I will now take the last question for this round, and then we can move to the next round of presentations, if that's okay. So Federica Mattioli, your mic should be enabled.
My question is related, let me introduce myself. My name is Federica Matteoli and I work for the Italian Red Cross. My question is almost the same of Alexandra, but and Pilar already answered my question, but I want to share also with you an experience that we are developing in south of Milan, in Italy, because we created a cooling center in one of our structure in a building to give the possibility to vulnerable people to go there and receive assistance during the summer, and not only. But the most important is that we are collecting data related to the impact of this cooling center in the life of people, of vulnerable people, what they think is important, why is important for them, especially for old people with more of 60, 70 years. And so it's important to collect this data, not only related to the health of these people, but also related to the impact of the cooling center in their life. I don't know if you have this kind of indicators in your projects, or if you collect only indicators related to the poverty energy. Thank you.
Since there was a direct question to the speakers, you can maybe quickly answer if you feel like. Thank you.
Well, in Barcelona, we have this, how it's called, these climate shelters. I think it's a correct translation. And they are open in summer. And we have a map both for green areas and climate shelters, just to be sure that they are 5 or 10 minutes away by walk from every point in the city. And we're trying to fill the city in that sense, that everybody has the right to access to one of those places. And our indicator is that, so percentage of people which has access to it easily, so let's say.
Thank you, Sergi. Maybe just, Pilar, do you have a direct answer to Federica's question? Maybe that makes sense to address it now. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, super quick. Besides, as well as Barcelona, we also have this climate shelter, let's say, network. But just to give an additional, let's say, indicator from a project that we were working the last 4 years, we were working with vulnerable households, and we were monitoring the temperature, the humidity levels, and the CO2 levels inside their houses. So we can compare values inside their houses and, let's say, outside and we had really shocking values, like households beyond, let's say, above 30, 34 degrees, 35 degrees in summer. So it was super, super crazy, and it was really useful to measure the impact. That's it.
Thank you, Pilar. That sounds also very interesting information to be able to collect. I see, Emma, you have your hand raised. I was just going to ask if it is okay for you to ask your question after the next round of presentations. Would that be all right? Wait, we also shall allow your mic. Now it should work.
It is in direct response to Federica's question, but
Okay.
I can definitely do it in the next round. No problem. I took note of what I wanted to say.
Okay, or I don't know, what's the general agreement? Because there's a lot of other content that we want to go through. So maybe if you have a very quick reaction to what was just said, maybe it makes more sense content-wise to do it now. But then I would just move to the next round. Otherwise, we won't have time for that. So
sure, I'll keep it super brief then. First of all, so great to hear, Federica, about this cooling center. I am working with the Urban Resilience Department on using schoolyards as outdoor cooling centers, and this year we plan to experiment with a pop-up cooling poverty center. So the city of Milan already has an energy information desk that is based in the city offices, but we'd like to bring that to communities and address specifically cooling poverty. So our plan is to do that this summer. And in terms of impact, evaluating impact, the reason we've chosen to address cooling poverty is we saw that the level of resilience of one of the communities we have been studying when it comes to heat waves is quite low in a financial sense. So the ability to thrive when energy costs are high is low in the community we are working with. So this is a direct response to a data collection effort that we did. And I will share in the chat a link to that community resilience assessment, which has a pretty detailed methodology for studying the existing level of resilience and then the achieved level of resilience after some actions. And that method has been developed by the Z Zurich Foundation. So I'll pop that in the chat.
Thank you, Emma. And I've had a look at that report because it was shared last time as well, and it's very interesting. So I would recommend everybody to look into that. Alessandra, is it okay if we move to the next round and maybe you keep your question for later? That would be great. So because I don't want to run into the situation that we don't get to hear all your next contributions. So I would suggest that we then share our screen again and just move to the next question, which is how to effectively involve citizens in community energy initiatives. And this time we'll give the floor first to Pilar to tell us a bit what they're working on in Valencia.
Yes, that's a really challenging question. So thank you for including it. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So just to frame a bit the, let's say, normative dashboard for Spain, just to say that Spain hasn't still promoted a full transposition of the European directives about energy communities, but energy communities are now introduced as a new subject of the electricity sector, so that's good news. And our best example is the approval of the Royal Decree 244 from 2019 that regulates the administrative, technical, and economic conditions of self-consumption of electrical energy and introduces two figures, which are those that you can see there, the renewable energy communities and the collective self-consumption. I won't go into detail because of the timing, but as we know, both can coexist and implies different levels of citizen empowerment. And I would like to introduce a bit about the Enersemit project, which is a project that started last year, and we are currently developing it in Valencia together with other cities that I will now explain. But just to let you know, that is funded by the Interreg Euromed program, and the Green is part of the Green Living Areas. And the aim of the project is to test a combined solution of energy communities, nature-based solutions to tackle energy poverty. So the three issues are addressed by this project. And we are focusing particularly on port areas and nearby the sea that, as we know, are facing important energy challenges such as humidity levels, urban heat island phenomenon, and energy access that normally is more complicated. So Valencia Clima and Energía is going to implement the Valencia pilot, and we will aim to create 2 renewable energy communities where all the energy produced will go directly to vulnerable households. And that's why we want to involve NGOs, associations, and also schools to this renewable energy community. Just to mention as well that let's say that the particularity of this project is that the solar panels will be installed in a school, and the school will have a participative process as a diagnosis to, let's say, learn the nature-based solution needs to implement everything on the school. And we hope that it will help to revitalize the neighborhood and also to help children at school to have less heat and help them to be more healthy. So the cities that are going to participate are Valencia, that I already mentioned, Genoa in Italy, Novigrad and Pula in Croatia, Patras in Greece, and Larnaca in Cyprus will join in a later phase. And so far, in these few months that we have started the project, we are already seeing the challenges. Of course, we always talk about how the energy transition should include everyone and that renewable energy should be available for everyone. So that's one challenge, and my question is how to go beyond this self-consumption, let's say, how to address energy poverty with a collective approach, how to engage households and NGOs to participate into an energy community, and let's say at the end help them empower, take control of their consumption, and of course lower their bills. So that's more or less what I wanted to present. Thanks.
Thank you, Pilar. Then we can move to the next slide, just setting the stage for the next presentations. So we would like to hear from the other presenters what insights they have to share on how to effectively involve vulnerable households, as was just presented, and citizens in such community energy initiatives. And the next up would be Zaragoza.
In Zaragoza, we have both experience in order to try to involve people in energy communities. We have the Community Transformation Office run up by the City Council in Zaragoza, and this is an office to provide information and to provide technical assistance to people who wanted to create an energy community. So this is a way to foster the interest of people in energy communities, because the first activity that they do is information about what is an energy community and how to involve neighbors in the energy communities. And the other project that I would like to explain is the Oliver Energy Community. This is an energy community that ECODES has promoted in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Zaragoza, the Oliver neighborhood. In the board of the energy community, we involve main social actors from the neighborhood. So the school is involved in the board of the energy community, a center for people with disabilities, the church of the neighborhood, and also several social organizations that they are located and they are working in the neighborhood. And the goal, this integration, all of the social actors in the board of the energy community is a key to involve people in the neighborhood, especially people in energy poverty situation. And one of the special features of our energy community is that the solar panels are installed in the rooftop of the church. This church is like the center of the social life in the neighborhood. There are a lot of people that they are it's not important. The religious is not a important issue, because in that church, all of the people is welcome to work in the social improvement of the neighborhood. So this is was the main issue for us. How to involve these 50 participants was to have all of the stakeholders of the neighborhood involved in the board of the energy community. We have done a lot of activities in the neighborhood, workshops, information. We put we share leaflets for all of the neighborhood. We have been in the parties of the neighborhoods, in the park, and so on. And this is one of the main issues. And it was also important that the energy community is not only the installation of solar panels, it's also the development of an energy office, and all of the neighborhoods, if they are consuming energy from the PV installation or not, they can go to the energy office and they can ask about how to reduce their bills, energy bills, how to implement renovation measures in their household, or even if they wanted to install solar panels in their own house, they can also ask for information in that energy office. And it was also important that the money from the PV installation, we receive it from a bank foundation. We participate in a call and we win the call, and we receive the money from to do the installation. And afterwards, in order to keep the energy community live, all of the members of the energy community have to do an annual payment to keep the management of the energy community, and also to try to develop more installation or more projects like mobility sharing and so on. And but this fee is always affordable to ensure the accessibility of people in energy poverty situation.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. There was a lot of insights hearing about how to involve social actors locally and also establishing this energy office. This seems like great insights. We can move to then the case of Barcelona to hear a bit what's happening there.
Hi again. So in Barcelona, we developed the SAM for All pilot alongside the Almada, Cordesagua, and Rome. The goal was to test the model to bring the solar energy to all the city, not only where they have some capital to do this kind of investments. We've chosen 3 public housing schools between housing buildings, between 2021 and 2024, which was the span of the project. And we also had some workshops, courses, just to disseminate the energy efficiency in these beneficiaries, and build comprehension, and and other topics related to it. For instance, there's an aerothermic system in one of them, so they needed a workshop on that, so we provided that. And mainly the solar is a self-consumption, is in these buildings among all the citizens living there, chosen by social services. So there are a lot of different profiles there. There are some purely economical criteria in one of them, and in the other ones there are some dotation buildings, which are, for instance, elderly, youth, and this kind of policies. And about the output, we found a way to speed up all the legal procedures, because it's a bit of a burden just to make an agreement among all the citizens, all the beneficiaries there, just to share the electricity from the PVs. So we speed up in the all this process just to make easy to the Housing Institute of Barcelona to replicate this in all the new buildings they are working on right now. And we also have been encountering this same problem in energy communities, in which we are assessing a bit just to help some convinced people in the neighborhoods that are going to develop an energy community in some private or public, it depends, thanks to private or public roofs. And the main lesson, well, in half we have two. You need to keep a trust binding with all the citizens in the community or in the self-consumption. Because the procedures may create some disengagement, and it's a bit difficult right now. So you need some resources. The other lesson learned is you need some extra resources to help to this bureaucracy and to make all the management. And we are working with third sector parties in the energy communities, trying to replicate some ideas from Sun for All. So in the pure private sector, and these are the main things. We need this with resource, which are human resources mainly, to do everything, and also some clearer procedures that make a bit user friendly to tackle the problems with distribution company, commercialization company, and so on.
Thank you very much, Sergi. I hear also this point of offering easy access to help when doubts arise was something that was mentioned also before by Cecilia, seems very important. We can move to the last contribution from Almada. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Erika. Nice to meet you all. Me and Alexandra work in the environmental department in the municipality of Almada, next to Lisbon. And we also participate in the Sun for All project, but I would like to mention some other ways that we have been involving our community in our overall general climate action plans, but also on adaptation and mitigation and measures, and specifically on the energy poverty area. So for our climate action plan in Almada neutral strategy elaboration, we have had participatory meetings, and this was extremely useful to identify the partners in this area and the synergies with their already current practices. And this brought increased interactions with them in specific topics, such as circular economy activities and, for example, biodiversity initiatives. This allowed us to have a communication channel with them established. As for adaptation interventions, we are having Cool Life Almada, a life-funded project that we build with the local community. So we actually, before applying for this funding for this project, we met with the local businesses association, and we involved them in the application process in order to be able to provide them a way to participate actively in this project. And this way, we proposed a grant support for climate adaptation of these local businesses. And with this, we are having regular interactions with them. We invited from the beginning. We have been meeting them to co-create the regulation for the attribution of this grant support. And now we will be receiving applications and managing them and offering this grant support. So this brings some more involvement from them. As for vulnerable populations specifically, we have had the Sun for All project and the concept of renewable energy hubs that we built since the Sun for All project. And this was an opportunity to conceive a municipal methodology that would join the social aspect in this solar energy aspect that the municipality has to develop. So our strategy was to install PVs on social housing. The target of Sun for All was to benefit 126 families. And this we made involving the housing department in the municipality and the local organizations that could help us reach this population, because they already know the context, the specific context of these neighborhoods. And the municipality investment was made in a way that would benefit both the municipalities financing balance, but also the social residents in this area. So whenever we would install PV panels in a building, part of the energy is to support this social component, so to be attributed to beneficiaries, and part of it is to be consumed by the local municipal equipment, such as pools, schools, health centers, and so on. So the main lessons learned during the Sun for All project were, for example, that training sessions were focused on the benefits. This population doesn't have so much time. They like the focus on things that are not very, very important to them. So we had to focus on the benefits, what they could get from this, how much they would save on energy, how efficient they could be, and that this energy could come from solar energy. And these trainings were seen as a good thing. They would save some energy and some money as well. These regular interactions, they had to be frequent, and sometimes with some freebies, something that would bring them in for the first time, the first training session that they will come, and maybe we would offer a light bulb, an efficient light bulb, or a tote bag with the Sun for All logo, so as to build some confidence and bring them in the sessions to build confidence on the program and on the team that was developing the project there. Obviously, these vulnerable households were not asked to make any financial contribution, and they were very eager to participate in communicating and recruiting their neighbors that would not know about the project. So they actually help us knocking on doors of their neighbors and talking about the project. Some more active, some more passively, just talking about the project that they are already participating. And one of the main lessons learned, also as Sergi mentioned, is expectation management, obviously, because this project lasted 3 years. And since the beginning, we have been talking about their participation in this energy sharing program. But it took a while. These things take a while. It's innovative procedures, it's unclear procedures, even nationwide and all over Europe. So it takes some expectation management in order to have them in the project and for them not to go out before the project is actually implemented. I'm sure Sergi is also very familiar with this lesson learned.
Thank you very much, Roy. This is all very interesting. I think we can open up the floor for a bit of a discussion in case there is questions. I see 2 hands raised. I think it's Emma, your hand might be the one from before, because otherwise, perhaps I would leave the floor to Alessandra, who still had a question from before these presentations, in case you still want to ask or add your contribution.
Yes, it was a contribution regarding something that Rui just mentioned, that we are implementing a censoring system in our businesses that are located on the place where we are going to implement a project on heat waves. So with the censoring, we will be more able to understand how some of these businesses can cope and can react to heat waves. And also sometimes we forget about that, but sometimes businesses are also affected by energy poverty. So we try to keep their resilience by giving some support so they can install some measures of heat control on their locations. Thank you.
Thank you for adding these details. Pilar, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, I have a question for Cecilia because I see lots of similarities between both projects, and thank you for explaining all the details of the Oliver community. I would like to ask, besides being part of the advisory board, what are the roles of the NGOs involved in the community? Like, are they providing trainings, or are they selecting also families? What are they doing, more or less?
The NGOs of the communities, I mean, for example, ECODES, we are in charge of activating and engage more people to the energy community, and also we are in charge of run the energy office, and the rest of energy NGOs that they are involved in the community, they are also in charge of engage people from their members. For example, the school is also in charge of activate the childhood in energy issues, and also to share the information with all of the school community, families, and so on, in order to foster the participation of the families. And it's more or less, and then of course all of the social NGOs and stakeholders that they are involved in the board of the energy community, they also self-consume energy from the PV installation. So for that reason, they have to decide the strategic lines of the energy community. That all is quite important, because we don't. Our aim is not stop with this PV installation. We would like to do more projects, even more installation, but also, as I told before, we would like to have sustainable mobility project, maybe to have a car sharing services, or maybe we would like to start to renovate household in communities. So we have to, all of the stakeholders that they are part of the board of the energy community should give their opinion and their point of view in order to decide which is going to be the next project of the energy community.
Thank you, Cecilia. Alexander, do you want to go ahead with your contribution?
Yes, I would like to ask Cecilia, how many households are involved in this energy community?
We have 50 households, 50 families, because of the size of the installation. Each participant has a sharing of the 0.5 kilowatt peaks. So as the installation, the size of the installation is 50 kilowatt peaks, is more or less that. And then there are 6 organizations that also participate in the self-consumption installation.
Thank you, Cecilia. Is there any question from the participants, actually? Oh, I see Yannis just raised his hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. This is Yannis from ICLE as well. I wanted to make a quick contribution, maybe from a different context, which is the German context. We work in a project called Include on socially just climate action with ICLE. And actually, Alexandra and Rui know it because they're also front runners in the project there. And we work with Ludwigsburg and Heidelberg on technology, which is the plug-in PV or balcony PV, which is actually a nice way of reducing energy poverty by reducing the energy bill, because vulnerable households can put it on their balcony if they have rental homes. And in Germany, at least, like, it gets directly deducted from the energy bill, basically the energy they produce. I don't know if that's actually a thing everywhere in Europe, if you know about that as well, but maybe you have experience on that. And for us, the learning was really to reduce access barriers So, like for instance, the city of Ludwigsburg, they established a process that was like very easy, communicated and very easy to follow to actually get this kind of balcony PV subsidies, and it's 100% subsidized. So there's no financial kind of investment needed from the households if they are welfare recipients, which is like they have like a specific card for welfare recipients. So it's kind of an relatively easy process to apply for it as well. And then obviously the second part of it is then communication. And for instance, the city of Heidelberg are trying right now to include the neighborhood centers in that as well on like promoting these kind of initiatives. And they have like an object there where they show how it works and so on, and then try to make it accessible for different populations. Yeah, so those are just a bit contribution from our context.
Thank you, Yannis. I think the Ludwigsburg example is very interesting, and there's definitely a large political backup because of these initiatives being 100% subsidized, which is, as we know, quite an important factor and actually a struggle in different contexts. But we have also talked today about some ways that have been used in different cities to either overcome that or to win the political support, like some examples from Almada, which I think is a very important point. We still have about 7 minutes, which is enough for another few questions. So I would invite the speakers, but also the other participants to bring further contributions or ask any questions that you might have. I see Federica. We still have the mic situation, but Laura, maybe you can jump in on that, and this should be solved easily now that we have learned. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I have a question for the I don't know who is for Valencia, who is from Valencia, because Pilar maybe because you mentioned the activities related to natural-based solutions. Which kind of activity are you developing? Thank you.
We are not yet developing, but the project, let's say, aims at introducing natural-based solutions where the PV installation will be effectively installed, which are the schools. We are considering some things like green rooftops, also, I don't know the name in English, but this kind of installation that can have solar panels above. We are considering those things, but we aim at doing it through a participative process with the school board and also the students and the entities of the neighborhood. So the school can also be like a climate shelter for in summer. So we haven't yet defined which natural-based solutions will be there, but we will define them together with the people involved.
Because we are thinking to develop replantation of trees and also how to say in English the production of vegetables in the urban area, something like this, to make available to people or something like this.
This vegetable production, I think it's very convenient in schools because it's also an opportunity for learning for students. So that's also another point, another extra highlight. Yeah.
Thank you for this further explanation. We still have time for 1 or 2 other questions. So also if there's anything, or from the speakers, if you think that there is anything important that you would like to add at this point that maybe you didn't have the chance to, since we gave you a super limited time slot to present. This is maybe the time to do so. Otherwise, I also think that this was a lot of content in less than 1 hour and a half, and I really thank you all for your exceptional contributions. I think a session also last, well, 10 hours and go in depth about everything. But I think this was already a very good overview, and I'm sure that everybody has a lot of useful insights to bring with them. I would also like to encourage, we will share the recording, but also just a follow-up summary. If you have any links to projects or interesting reports or articles, resources that you would like to share with this community of peer learning today, then you can send them to us at ICLEI so that we can try to collect these resources and make sure that we include them in the follow-up so that this knowledge can be used after the meeting. And as I said before, I would also encourage everybody to use these type of events as an opportunity to create partnerships with other practitioners, because we see that a lot of people are facing the same issues, but also maybe trying to work with similar solutions, and then there is a big potential for learning from each other and maybe also create synergies to exchange knowledge, experience, and maybe also like actual partnerships for implementation. So this is just a bit of an invitation to everybody to make use of this context now. And I think that's it from my side. Thank you again to all the speakers. Really